All right, the local government, or rather the local market, closing 0.5% down this afternoon, as once again we've got these fears of a global recession emerging. So local stocks and miners, they were leading the losses this afternoon. Martin Smith, portfolio manager at eNCA Capital, joins us now. Martin, thanks for your time. I mean, we've had a few positive sessions, record highs for the JSE All Share this week, but I see it pulled back today. Where's that coming from?
So you're 100% right, and I think it's not just the JSE. You've also seen it in the US markets pulling back a bit there. Also, the Chinese market, which has been very, very, very strong. The shares also started to pull back a little bit, specifically on the tech side of things. So I think it comes back to what you said at the beginning there, which is fears around the recession, maybe a little bit of profit taking as well. But I think the key is definitely there that people are still a little uncertain of where this market goes. There's still a lot of things that need to play out, whether it be inflation, recession, interest rates. So there's still a lot of things on the go. And I think investors have used this opportunity to maybe take a little bit of profits. Because remember, also markets were very, very strong in the last quarter of last year. So yeah, let's see where it goes. But there's definitely a bit of weakness creeping in.
And I see the rand back at 17 Rand 30 or thereabouts against the US dollar. It's back to its volatile ways. We're used to that of late. But if global sentiment, remains there, there's a cautious sense around a possible recession. We've just spoken about that. You're going to get that dollar strengthening, investors keeping away from emerging market currencies. Is that why you're seeing that dollar just playing the swinging mode now back at 17.30?
I think you're very correct there, because again, when you saw inflation starting to come off at the back end of last year, dollar weakening a little bit, risk appetite coming through, that obviously plays into a stronger rand and risk appetite and things like that. But then again, as risk appetite starts to dry up and people get a bit worried about where the global economy is going, you'll see a little bit of money flowing into the dollar and away from emerging markets and so-called riskier assets. So interesting to see. But again, the rand, the rand traded in about a 3.5 to 4 rand range against the dollar last year, just pointing out the volatility. So again, key technical level around the 1680, 85, but I think we'll be around these levels for the next few weeks.
Martin, I want to talk about SPAR and Woolworths. Let's start with Woolworths first. I mean, leading the gains on the All Share today, up more than, 4.5% or thereabout. It's about time we start seeing an update from Woolworths that's more optimistic. So, of course, this was welcome, and you can see how shareholders have reacted. In essence, what did that trading update say about the retailer?
Absolutely. We've been waiting for some nice positive momentum to be coming through from Woolworths, and also in terms of what's happening with David Jones. That's now for sale from the business, so that'll be nice once that goes through. But again, I think it's just a very good and very strong sales update, nicely ahead of consensus. Yes, it was off a slightly weaker base comparative to last year, but again, nicely ahead of consensus. I think you'll see some upgrades coming through from analysts. So they did quite well across the board. Again, that David Jones sale is going to be quite positive. Management doing some things around cost cutting and the like. Look, the food side of the business, which has always been the crown jewel, was a little weak. So that's something to keep an eye on, again, relative to peers. But overall, like I said, just a very positive update, and hopefully the momentum can continue from here.
Yeah, I mean, boy, has it been an eventful few weeks for SPAR, hasn't it? Irregular loans being identified in the latest reports. We have the departure of the group CEO following a few reputational tainting developments. And that's come to the forefront here. It really hasn't been the greatest time for SPAR. Where do you think this retailer is going? Just give us some background on what the implications are of these new developments.
Absolutely. So, I mean, like you mentioned, there's talk of irregular loans. Alludes to about 3 of them coming in at about 11 million rand. So if you look at it in the kind of grand scheme of things, as the market cap of SPAR and the revenue that they bring in, 11 million rand isn't massively significant to them. But I think it's more about sentiment and trust from investors more than anything else. And I don't think the facts have been kind of completely firmed up. But I think investors get a little bit fearful when there's even a slight hint of something being irregular. So I think you've seen that in the share price in the last few weeks or months. It's definitely been lagging the rest of the retail sector. the likes of ShopRite, Woolworths, for example. So again, while the facts aren't completely firm from what's happening with those loans, I think it just makes investors a little bit fearful and a little bit worried about, do they actually need to be there?